Hey y'all, it is me, Stop, Drop, and Roll On, and I just got through doing my 4 miles for the day. And it is a little bit after 8 o'clock my time, okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of the fact that it didn't happen this morning, and that's all right because it happened. I've been kind of grappling back and forth about whether or not I wanted to share this, but I think it's appropriate. So I'm going to go ahead and share it. And I'm going to try to be quick and not talk so much. But it is, a lot of times, people make assumptions. They make, they make assumptions and all that type of stuff about other people or their lives, things, how things are with them, all that kind of stuff, and it can be based upon anything. It can be based upon, you can just pick something. It can be based upon some type of material thing. It could be based upon maybe the way the person is carrying themselves. Sometimes it's based upon skin color. Sometimes it's based upon, it can be based upon anything. I mean, just anything. And most of the time, I think that a lot of things that we surmise about people is totally, totally inaccurate. I don't know that you ever really know what is going on with a person unless you know them, and then you still don't know 100%, And so, this is something that I don't grapple with because of something that happened to me a really long time ago. And it's something that, how when you get married and you and your mate share stuff, your spouse, and it's something that I had to actually, it's like iron sharpening iron, and that happens within the marriage as well, and so it's something that Pierre and I had to talk about on a regular basis because some of it was because of the way that he grew up, some of it was the way that I grew up, and it was one of those things where you just had to basically, one person was teaching the other person while the other person was learning other things from the other person. It never stops. It's all the time. We do it all the time. But I remember when my real biological father, as I have probably shared, maybe on my other channel, but not on this channel, was killed. And I always pause when I say that because it's a sad situation, to be totally honest. And the crazy part about it is that he was killed by a relative, so to speak, or I should say the parent of a relative. Let's put it like that without me going too far in depth with that. And so that bond there of a biological dad and a daughter, I don't know what that's about. But I did have a magnificent stepfather. Wonderful man, wonderful man. And then he died at a very early age. And it was actually the formative years, especially for my brother, but for myself too. It was very difficult. My family went through a very, very difficult time. And when my dad was not well, very, very, to the point where he was not able to work. And I'm talking about a man in his 40s. At this point, we've all exceeded, meaning myself, my sister, my brother, we have all exceeded the age that he was when he died. And so I was in college at the time, and my parents were young. They were very young. And actually, there were two of us in college at the same time, me and my brother. And we needed money. I mean, my mom, as we know now, was using her dad. Number one thing was that we were not allowed to quit. We both wanted to quit, come home, and get jobs and help handle the business at home. We were losing things because he was not able to work, you know. So when people start talking about loss and things like that, even though I was a young adult at the time, I know what loss is. To come home and then stuff that was familiar to you or things that you were used to seeing not there anymore, and you knew better than to ask because you kind of pretty much after a while knew what was going on, you know. And my mother was holding it down the best that she could, you know, and we just didn't have anybody to, you know, to knock on the door and say we need, you know, several $100,000. At the same time, I needed money for school because, you know, I was in college. Dad had said we couldn't stop college. That was the one thing he did not want either myself or my brother to do. And so I had this classmate of mine, and she was like, well, you could do this, and then, you know, they'll give you money to go to school. You just have to go and take a test. And I'm a kid, you know. My mom is the age that she was. My dad is what I have just described to y'all. My sister was an adult, young adult at that time. She was no longer at home. My brother, Bubby, was in college just like me, just at a different place. And so I did, you know, listen to my friend. She was like, oh, it ain't this, you do this, you do that. And so I went and I took this, supposedly it was a career aptitude test is what it was supposed to be. And she was just like, oh, you know, just go and take it. You don't have to be concerned about it. I didn't even take mine serious. And I was not used to, you know, not taking things seriously. I mean, you say test to me, I'm hunkered down with my pencil and my, you know, pencil sharpener and, you know, hey, tell me when to start, tell me when to stop. And she was just like, oh, no, you know, just, you're going to get the money, you're going to get the money. And I was just like, okay. And, I mean, it's a program that obviously she and several other people were using, and I didn't really know because up to this point I had not had to use any type of loans or anything. I had grants and I had scholarships, but they were supplemented by my parents paying. They were no longer able to do that. So I took this test, and I remember I went by myself. I don't even know how ethical that was. I mean, because I graduated from high school early, which means I went to college early. And I went down there and took this test, y'all. And I will never forget the lady that administered the test, and then she also was the person that went over the results with me. The reason why I won't forget her is because she had an extremely unusual name. It was actually the first time that I've ever heard a female with that name as a first name. And I was like, oh my goodness, what happened here? You know how you think stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I, you know, went, took the test. She reviewed the test with me. And once she came back to tell me, listen to what I'm going to say. This is the tape recorder. And she told me, she said, you have said and indicated here what it is that you would like to be and do when, you know, as far as career goals are concerned. What this test indicates is that you might want to rethink that. That's probably not going to be a good thing for you to do. It's going to cause you to be disappointed. You're going to be disgusted. Now I'm telling you what she says. I'm not enhancing and I'm not taking away. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it is going to be very, very difficult for you to do what you have stated that you would like to do as a career choice. What I'm looking at here lends itself more to probably being in the service industry. You may want to consider working in a cafeteria. Not, I'm saying what the lady said. You may want to consider maybe being some type of, basically what she said was the word janitor, because that whatever engineer word that they use nowadays, that wasn't the word back then, janitor. These are the things that she gave me as career choices. And I'm sitting up there looking at her and thinking like, that paper is saying all of that. Oh my gosh, am I really? Have I been fooling myself all these years? Am I that thrown off for thinking that, I could do this? And so for the next number of years, and I got the money, but for the next number of years, every time I got anything less than a B, I thought that maybe what that lady said was right. Maybe that was really right. I mean, you sitting up here you made a C on this. Maybe she was correct. And the ultimate goal that I had, I didn't pursue. Y'all, that's Pierre. I love to hear him laugh. But let me come back to this. But I didn't go as far as I would have gone because this tape recorder played in my head for decades on end. I'm not talking about for a couple of months. I'm not talking about for a couple of weeks. I'm talking about decades. Every time I did something that had anything to do with education, scholastically, I pushed myself and I pushed myself and I pushed myself. It was crazy. I finally ended up doing what I set out to do. What I had leveled out to do. Not the ultimate goal, but the goal up underneath the ultimate goal. Y'all were plan A, plan B. And I graduated. And I was like, okay, so you got over that. But then when it came down to learning how to apply those skills, if I didn't pick up something just like that, I would get frustrated. That's why y'all hear me being really hard on myself, and that it is now easing up, because this up here is being renewed. It's not me doing it. I swear it is not me doing it. It is me stilling myself and listening. I'm stilling myself, meaning I'm being still, like listening and just getting, like this, and just hunkered down in front of God and letting him tell me what to do and doing what he says. And I'm stilling myself, meaning in my back, where it's just like, I can do this, I can do this on a whole lot of levels. It's not just this exercising and stuff. Years went on, and I remember I went to work one day, and I'm going over the board and I'm looking, charts and stuff like that, and I get my assignment, what I got to do, and I see this name, the one I told y'all that I had. It was, the first name was unusual, but the last name was too. And like I said, I'll never forget it. I will never forget her name. That lady, she ended up being a patient of mine. Let me put it like that. The thing that she told me that I could not do, and I took her at her word to do, ended up being the thing that God blessed me to be able to complete, so that I ended up being her nurse. I took care of her until she died. She ended up, because she at that time had a disease. I didn't know that she had it, but I ended up taking care of her. She ended up, I never told her who I was. I didn't want to. I didn't even know if she would remember me, and it didn't even matter at that time, because the stuff that has been spoken to me, whether it was really what the paper said or if it was out of malice. I don't know what it was. And that's why I say you never, if it was a cultural thing, I won't ever know. Because those type of things are going on now and they were going on then. I won't ever know. I really, at this point, y'all, in my life, I don't even care no more. Because I know that stuff that was said to me was not true. Even though it took me decades to walk through it and work through it. I remember that Friday, I happened to be out that weekend. And when I got ready to leave, she was the last room I left out of. And, you know, I was telling her I was going to be out for the weekend and wished her well and everything like that. And she had an extremely rough day. And I just told her, I was going to be out that weekend. And she said, oh, my gosh, what am I going to do? You're the best person that I have. What am I going to do? And I was like, I'm not the best person that you have, and there'll be other people that are capable and that will provide for you. When I got back to work Monday, y'all, she was gone. I thought that I would share that with y'all, with whoever needed to hear. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you can do things that, as long as the stuff is lining up with the will of God and it's right, you have to believe that you can do those things. And then you have to do what you need to do to make those things happen. Sometimes you have to forget things that people have said to you. Sometimes you have to forget things that people have said about you. Sometimes you have to forget things that people have done to you. A lot of times you have to stir up what is in you. And I'm talking on a spiritual standpoint now. That you have to stir it up, because sometimes you can't depend on the exterior and people from the outside saying things to you, because sometimes the stuff they say is not correct. We can do anything that we put our mind to do. We can do it. It was difficult for me to come in here this evening and do my exercise just because I had a very trying day today. But I did it because it's for my good. It's for my good. I feel better. I feel better after I do it. Matter of fact, anymore, I feel better while I'm doing it. And then I feel better mentally after I've done it because I did it, And so, y'all, if you have not moved your meat, move your meat. If you don't plan on moving your meat, ask yourself why. And then even if you don't do it, tomorrow is a brand new day. So make it a decision that if you don't do it today, that you'll at least do it tomorrow. Wherever you are, start where you are and do what you can do. That's what I'm doing. I'm just doing what I can do till I can do more. Y'all, that's all I got. This ran a little long, but for some reason I felt compelled to share that. Toodles.